Hey YouTubers, this is your resident crazy Jack here. And like I was saying last week, this is going to be my top 10 list. And I'm going with the suggestion that a fellow YouTuber known as Robin Baron Carter from Anime America, she gave a little thing saying on her top 10 list of things that made her cry and things that made her laugh, she said if there was anything that the comments said that she missed, make your own list. So here I go. My top 10 anime scenes that made me emotional. Number 10 is Fruits Basket. That's the episode where Toru, Uo, and Hana are visiting Toru's mother's grave. Really made me emotional because it kind of reminded me of how I would visit my great grandmother's grave. I mean, myself with my great grandmother had the same relationship as Toru had with her mom. So, yeah, it kind of gave me a little flashback there. Number 9, Full Metal Alchemist original series. Episode 1. Now, the desert scene where Edward and Alphonse are headed towards Lior, and Alphonse gets sunk in the sand, and how they were battling each other because of said sand burying, and how Alphonse was bitching at Edward. That made me laugh hysterically to the point where I almost got the complained about with the noise ordinance. Now, number 8 is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and that was a sad scene, especially with the end episode where Alphonse and Edward are coming home. And Winry is right there at the front door. She's crying her eyes out. She's all up on Edward and Alphonse. And Robin, you're right. The music in that scene made it that much more emotional, and I had to go through a whole box of tissues within 3 minutes. Now, number 7, this is also going on Robin's no advice. I did indeed see Cowboy Bebop finally, and I too was laughing my ass off when Einstein was tripping on shrooms and bouncing around like a little toy dog. Number 6 is D and Angel. The scene where Daisuke Niwa is saving the human embodiment of Crad, while that same boy, Daisuke's new best friend, where the best friend is trying to commit suicide, so therefore Crad does not bother Daisuke anymore. That made me so sad because it reminded me of how I would always talk to my old best friend when I was a kid out of committing suicide multiple times as well. So yeah, that gave me a flashback too. Now 5 is Ouran High School Host Club. To me, any scene in that whole entire series with Tamaki Suo is just gold. I mean, anytime that I see Ouran High School Host Club, I could not pick a specific scene because the whole entire series, especially how Tamaki Suo is just brain dead clueless about how Haruhi is just comedic genius. And of course, it was also done by Vic Mignogna, so that makes it even much more comedic gold. Okay, now number 4 is also Ouran High School Host Club. This time it also made me cry. It was the end episode where Tamaki Suo finally saw that he loved Haruhi when Tamaki was being whisked away to France on a forced marriage. And it was the scene where he's in the car with his new fiance. Here comes Haruhi in the carriage. She's like, come back to us, Tamaki, we need you. And Tamaki's now finally seeing that, oh my god, I love Haruhi, I gotta go save her. And that made me cry. Number 3 is Death Note. Now, I know I'm going to get flack of this because when I say Death Note, everybody's assuming the animation. But no, this point in time, I'm talking about the live action movie. And yes, it would be considered anime because Ryuk in that movie was CG animated. So to me, it counts. And the thing that where I was busting up laughing was when Ryuk in the live action movie was having a temper tantrum because he could not get an apple. And his reaction in the grocery store when Light Yagami is telling Ryuk that he cannot have any more apples inside the house and he just loses it in the grocery store, that was, to me, comedic gold. Number 2 is a sad scene from Sailor Moon, and it is Sailor Moon. Well, actually, it's a tie for this. I have 2 things that made me cry on Sailor Moon. One is the great reveal of the princess. It was season 1. Episode is named "The Reluctant Princess." She's fine. Serena's finally shown as a princess of the moon, and I was bawling on that episode. And the second one that was close up in the second position is the end sequence of The Promise of the Rose, the anime movie, where Serena, Darien, all the Sailor Scouts are preventing that comet from plunging into Earth. And the song "The Power of Love" in the background just made it that much more emotional. Now, I have 2 honorable mentions. One happy, one sad. The honorable mention for this, the happy is Black Butler. Any scene where Sebastian is surrounded by cats, or even is around a cat, is just funny. Because you actually get to see Sebastian having a little bit of humanity for a demon that's saying a lot. And the other honorable mention is Full Metal Alchemist original series. And this is one of the tearjerkers here. Is the scene where Lieutenant Hughes, well actually now Brigadier General Hughes, is being buried. And his daughter is just bawling, saying, "Please don't bury Daddy." That whole entire scene, plus with the music in the background, just made it that much more heart-wrenching. It's like, hand me my tissues, please, because I'm about ready to use it. Now, the number 1 scene that made me emotional as far as like being funny, haha, is a little known anime called Robotech. Now, for those who don't know, that is like America's real true first anime. That was done in 1984. It's a beautiful, like 86 episode series. Please watch it. It's wonderful. It was pretty much like a little bit of a premise of Battlestar Galactica in some aspects. But Robotech is the first generation, like maybe the first 30 so, actually 40 so episodes. But it's this end, well, towards the end of the series scene where Matt Sterling's daughter, half alien daughter at that, gets presented to the aliens known as the Zentradi, and all the Zentradi believe that Dana Sterling's existence is due to a mythical product called protoculture. Now, these aliens keep on thinking that everything that humans do is a result of this mythical power called protoculture. So, like humans talking to each other, like men and women talking to each other, that's protoculture. Men and women kissing, that's protoculture. Men and women getting married, oh, that's a product of protoculture. It's scary, get away from it. But for them to see a baby done from a human and a Zentradi, they think is total protoculture gone totally haywire, and they get scared to death and they leave the human race alone after that. Well, after the humans totally obliterate the rest of the evil Zentradi that don't want humans and Zentradi to get together. But anyway, it's a scene where Dana Sterling, infant,